I know y'all have seen the videos comparing the Amex Platinum card to the Capital One Venture X to the Chase Sapphire Reserve, and while those are great videos, I don't think I've actually seen a video encompassing all of the main premium travel credit cards out there, so of course, that's what we're doing here today. Also, this is going to be more than just a review of each of these credit cards. I realize that y'all could just go look up that information on your own and don't necessarily need a video about that. So more than me just reading off what's online, I want to not only tell you about those benefits, but also tell you about some of the biggest downsides of each of these cards, as well as my personal opinion on each of them from my perspective, which may very well be different than yours. Also, this video is about general premium travel credit cards. This is not about hotel credit cards or airline credit cards, and we'll probably make a video about that in the near future too, but I just want to lay that out there before y'all start leaving comments about the Aspire and all that stuff. As always, if any of these cards do catch your eye, it would mean a ton to me if you could go check the links down below before applying for one of these cards, because if you use those links, it directly supports me and the channel and allows me to continue to put out this free content to y'all. And if you don't see a link to a card that you do want a link for, feel free to DM me at Spencer Johnson Official on Instagram, and I can be sure to try to send those over to you. Without further ado, let's jump into the first card here, which is the new kid on the block and has instantly become everybody's favorite, it seems. That, of course, being the Capital One Venture X. Now, I can't lie to y'all, this card is really solid at a bird's eye view. It has an annual fee of $395, making it the cheapest out of this entire list, and it also gives you over $400 back in value every single year with just a couple of benefits, so it's obviously a no-brainer, right? Well, for some people, I would say yes, it really is, but for a lot of others, I would say it's actually maybe a waste of an application. Let me go ahead and explain that before we get into the benefits of this card. For starters, the biggest con, in my opinion at least, is that the only way to get positive value from this card consistently is by using Capital One's travel portal. Not only do most of their earning categories only give you elevated rewards if you book travel through their portal, but also that $300 annual travel credit is only valid with bookings through their portal, which just kind of locks you in. I think that is really the one and only thing that stops a lot of really experienced credit card users from getting this card. But for somebody like me who is still more in the early stages of their credit card game, I think this card is still very valuable. With my travel habits, I actually can pretty easily use the $300 annual travel credit through their portal, and I just did that pretty recently, which I'll be sharing in a video coming out pretty soon. And I'll just say that it really is very easy to get positive value from that credit if you just make one booking through their portal every year. But then again, if you are somebody that just absolutely hates using portals, then this card is probably not for you. Another issue here is that unlike a card like the Chase Sapphire Reserve, which we'll talk about later, through their portal, you're only going to be getting a 1 cent per point redemption with your points, but on a card like the Chase Sapphire Reserve, you'll get a 50% boost on your points by using the portal. So the fact that Capital One locks you into their portal to actually get positive value from the card and then doesn't give you anything like elevated for using the portal, that's just another con that I don't really like. But then you may be in my position where you're like, okay, well, I'm only going to use the portal probably once a year anyways, so I'll take that lower redemption rate, and the rest of the year I'll just transfer all of my points out to their travel partners. Now here's another hitch with the card though. Capital One's travel partners, while they do have some really good ones in their lineup, they don't really have a great domestic hotel or airline that you can like consistently use to get positive value from. And while yes, you can learn how to use different alliances to book domestic travel with international partners, that's just one step that you have to go further on with this card that you might not have to with others. And I wanted to say all the bad stuff up front, but this card really is an awesome credit card for the right person. With that being said, let's just take a quick look at all the benefits on this card too, so you can, see both sides of the story. I have to start, of course, with talking about the welcome bonus on this card, which at the time of me recording is for 75,000 points after spending $4,000 in the first 3 months of having it. On top of that, this card does give you that $300 annual travel credit for bookings made through Capital One's travel portal, which we've been talking about so far. 10,000 anniversary bonus miles every single time you renew the card. A $100 global entry or TSA pre-check credit. With those benefits I just mentioned right there, you're already in the green on this card with just one booking a year through their travel portal. But of course, there's even more benefits. They also give you airport lounge access through Priority Pass Select, Plaza Premium, and Capital One lounges, Hertz President Circle status. Not to mention, it gives you 10x back on hotels and car rentals booked through their travel portal, 5x on airfare through their portal, and 2x back on everything else, which makes it a really solid catch-all credit card. And of course, there is still more benefits than that, but those are the main ones. As a whole though, this card right now is very good, and I would say it's probably the best place to start for someone looking to get their feet wet in the premium travel credit card game. But we're seeing lately that Capital One is starting to make some negative changes to this card to make it a little bit harder to recoup so much value from it. So be sure to keep an eye on that before you apply for it. But again, if you do, I think it's still a great card. Before we jump into the next card, I want to mention that if you do plan on applying for any of these cards, I'd highly recommend that you find a good way to manage these cards all in one place. And personally, I use Max Rewards to do this myself. Max Rewards is an app that allows you to pull all of your credit card information, even if your credit cards come from a bunch of different lenders, into one convenient app. That way you can see things like your total point balances, total card balances, bill due dates, and much more all in one place. One of my favorite things about Max Rewards and even just its free features is that it'll tell you which card to use depending on what category you're going to be spending in, but it also tells you the best card to use at your exact location or a location that you can search for in the future. Another really helpful tool, especially with cards like these that have high welcome bonus spending requirements, is that they do give you a welcome bonus tracker directly in the app. Max Rewards also has a paid tier called Max Rewards Gold that will not only automatically activate your quarterly rotating categories for you on your cards like your Chase Freedom Flex, but it'll also automatically activate all of your credit card offers for you, which can just save you money right there and make up the cost of the annual subscription. This is just scratching the surface of what this app can do, but if you're wanting to just try out the free features, please be sure to download it through the link in my description. And when you go through the sign up process, if you use the promo code Spencer, you'll get 1 free month of Max Rewards Gold that you can use in the future. Thank you to Max Rewards for sponsoring this video, but let's go ahead and jump into card number 2. With everyone's new favorite credit card covered, let's go ahead and talk about a card that is a little bit older and I would say more forgotten in this luxury travel credit card space, and that's going to be the Chase Sapphire Reserve. Right off the bat, I want to say that if I could only choose one credit card out of all of these cards in this video, I would actually probably go with the Chase Sapphire Reserve. The reason I say that is because this card gives you the most flexibility for your point redemptions, which I think is super clutch. On the travel side of things, you not only have the ability to transfer your points out to Chase's travel partners, which are some of the best in the game, but you're also able to redeem through their travel portal at a minimum 1.5 cent per point redemption, which is just awesome. Of course, there are many pros and cons to using a travel portal, but the fact that you get a guaranteed 50% boost on your points for booking in this fashion, I mean, that's just really nice in my opinion. In using a travel portal, you don't necessarily have to be an expert on points and miles to get good redemptions for your points, and this is especially applicable to domestic flights and domestic hotel bookings, but if you're going internationally, you definitely want to understand how to use your points in the best ways. But in reality, I would just say that booking through a travel portal is really simple, so to know that you're getting a respectable redemption rate is really nice. One might argue though that it is kind of annoying, just like the Capital One Venture X, to only get that boost through their travel portal, but what's different about this card compared to the Venture X is that, well, for one, you do get a boost through the travel portal, which makes it, far and above better than the Venture X in that regard. But the other nice thing about the Chase Sapphire Reserve is that the $300 annual travel credit on it is not going to restrict you to only getting that $300 through the Chase travel portal. And if you are still somebody that's just really against using a travel portal, like I mentioned before, Chase's transfer partners are very solid. And at the same time, they allow you to cash out your points at a respectable 1 cent per point if you ever need that cash in your pocket. And they also have other redemption methods that are very respectable. So just in general, Chase's ecosystem, I think, is much better than Capital One's, and honestly, in my opinion, much better than all the other ones out there. One of the main downsides of this card, though, that is very understandable is that, well, one, I guess it's not very separated from like the Chase Sapphire Preferred. It doesn't give you like a ton of extra stuff to justify that $550 annual fee. And that is really the main downside of this card, is that it doesn't just automatically give you that $550 back in value to cover that annual fee through their credits and benefits. But if you do know how to use this card, it can give you thousands of dollars a year in value. It just depends, again, on your travel habits and stuff like that. While we're here, let's just go ahead and do a rapid fire breakdown of the benefits. Starting with the sign-up bonus, it usually has a pretty decent sign-up bonus of 60,000 points for spending $4,000 in 3 months. However, in general, the Chase Sapphire Preferred has the better bonus on it, so if you really want to optimize welcome bonuses, you may want to start with the Chase Sapphire Preferred and then product change it to the Chase Sapphire Reserve after a year of holding it. But if you want the Chase Sapphire Reserve benefits right away, then you probably just want to apply for it with the best bonus you can find. Also, the card will give you 10x back on hotels and car rentals through the Chase Travel Portal, 10x back on Lyft rides through March of 2025, 5x back on flights booked through Chase's Travel Portal, 3x on general travel, 3x on dining, 10x on Chase dining purchases through Chase's Travel Portal, and 1x on all other purchases. Like I said before, this card does have a $300 annual travel credit. It also has a Priority Pass Select membership, which is not restrictive as the other ones. It does give you like full access to the restaurants and spas and stuff like that. It also gives you access to other Chase Sapphire lounges, like the one in Austin, Texas, for example. It gives you a global entry, TSA pre-check, or Nexus fee credit, and many more perks and benefits as well. Now it's time to talk about the top dog in the premium travel credit card space. Of course, that being the Amex Platinum card. It's really just impossible to argue against the fact that the Amex Platinum card does give you the most upside out of any travel credit card on the market. Of course, you're going to have to pay a high annual fee of $695 in this case to get those benefits. And with that kind of annual fee, you expect it to come with some good credits and stuff like that. And let me tell you, it doesn't disappoint there. If you just were to take into account the credits that come on this card, which is just a portion of the benefits that come with it, using both the retail and travel protections, you would get over $1,500 in value back from this card every single year. But that really is not realistic for anybody to get that much value back from it. So please do your own math before getting this card and don't just fall for the hype. Other than just some of the credits not being very useful, there are more downsides to this card that we need to talk about. First of all, I want to mention that I actually don't have this card personally yet. I would have already had it if I wasn't in pop-up jail, which is one of the downsides of Amex as a whole right now. But I have heard through a lot of people in the credit community Discord that I run with Daniel Braun and Mark Plymel, link below as always, that the Centurion lounges for one have been a joke for quite a while now because they're just so crowded, and access to those Centurion lounges is one of those things that is just a massive pull for this card. To be fair though, Amex has been implementing changes to this card recently that should lighten up those lounges, which is a good thing for those avid travelers. But at the same time, we can't forget that a lot of these changes are considered to be negative to the card that Amex has been doing lately too. Like for one, they removed the ability for us to get welcome bonuses on each version of the Platinum card, the vanilla, the Charles Schwab version, and the Morgan Stanley version. So right there, they already took away thousands of dollars of value from the people that really know what they're doing in the credit card game. Plus, they also changed the structure of the authorized user fee, which a lot of people have been complaining about. But at the same time, it does maybe make those Centurion lounges a little less crowded. So there is a bright side to it. And like I kind of mentioned with my personal experience, another big downside with Amex as a whole right now is their pop-up jail stuff going on. I know personally for me, well, I guess I haven't checked in a few months, but for me and a lot of other folks in the community, it seems like most of the folks in this community have been stuck in pop-up jail for quite some time. But let's not forget once again that this card is very, very solid and can give you insane value if you know how to use it. For one, the welcome offer on this card, at least right now, is for 80,000 points after spending $8,000 in the first 6 months of having it. They did actually change this welcome bonus to make it a little bit less lucrative, so that's another negative change, I guess. But just know that even in making this video, I found a 150,000 point targeted offer for me through incognito mode. So there still are some really, really solid offers out there. This card will generally give the average credit card user the biggest welcome bonus that they've ever seen on a credit card. And with Amex's once in a lifetime welcome offer rule, it's really important that you don't just take the public offer, but that you get the highest bonus you possibly can. On top of the welcome bonus, this card earns 5x on airfare booked directly with the airline or through Amex's travel portal, 5x on prepaid hotels through Amex's travel portal, and 1x on everything else. The credits on this card are going to include a $200 airline incidental fee credit, $200 hotel credit, $200 Uber credit, $189 clear credit, $100 global entry or TSA pre-check credit, $240 of digital entertainment credit, $155 Walmart Plus credit, $100 Saks Fifth Avenue credit, and a $300 Equinox credit. This card also gives you access to basically every lounge in the world through American Express's Global Lounge Collection. Plus, it's going to give you complimentary Marriott Gold Elite status and Hilton Gold status as well. On top of that, you get access to the Amex Fine Hotels and Resorts collection, which is really a fan favorite. And in reality, my final verdict on this card is that it is still probably the top dog in the luxury travel credit card space, and it's better than every other card on this list. But I also think that too many people that are getting it these days don't actually know how to use it and are overinflating their numbers in their minds, thinking that they're going to get more value from this card than they actually will. So please don't just get it because people talk highly of it, but do the research for yourself and make sure that it makes sense for you. The next two cards we're going to talk about are some lesser known credit cards that still deserve a lot of praise in this category. Just know that they are more niche products though, and they might not be exactly right for you, but you definitely want to be aware of them in case they are. The first one out of those two is going to be the US Bank Altitude Reserve. I'd say, to be honest, that this card is probably one of the best one card setups out there, but it does unfortunately have some major drawbacks compared to the other cards we're talking about here today. For one, it is much harder to get approved for this card because it is a US Bank card and they're not very kind to people that don't have existing relationships with them. But of course, it's definitely not impossible for you to get approved for this card. You just want to be mindful of your hard inquiries and number of cards opened in the last year. if you do want to go for this one. Second, to my understanding, you cannot transfer points from other US bank cards to this one to maximize your redemption value. Correct me if I'm wrong about that in the comments, but I'm pretty sure that's true. And third, which is the biggest downside for a travel credit card, is that US Bank as a lender does not have travel partners. At the same time though, it really is a solid card, not just because of its earning categories, but speaking of redemption rates, if you are to book travel through US Bank's travel portal with this card, you'll get a 1.5 cent per point redemption rate, very similarly to the Chase Sapphire Reserve. One pro in favor of this card compared to something like the Chase Sapphire Reserve is that it does have an annual fee of $400, so it's a little bit lower, and it also gives you $325 worth of credits that are very easy to get back. Some of its other perks include a decent sign-up bonus of 50,000 points after spending $4,500 in the first 90 days of having it, 5x back on hotel and car rentals booked through the Altitude Reward Center, 3x back on travel and mobile wallet purchases, which is what makes this such a good one card setup, because mobile wallet purchases really just covers everything these days. It also gives you a Priority Pass Select membership for 4 visits for you and 4 visits for a guest, a TSA pre-check or global entry credit, and much more. I would say that the Chase Sapphire Reserve definitely takes the cake compared to this card by a good margin, because you still get that flexibility on top of that 50% boost in your points through the travel portal. But I do know folks that absolutely love this card, and if you're already in the US Bank ecosystem, I would strongly suggest looking into this one. Now that was already a decently niche card, but let's get into the real dark horse of this whole entire video, that being the Bank of America Premium Rewards Elite credit card. Let's first discuss some of the major downsides of this card, which are actually very similar to the Altitude Reserve. For one, the biggest negative of Bank of America as well as US Bank is that Bank of America also does not have travel partners. This makes it much more of a cashback focused card, similarly to that Altitude Reserve, because if you're looking for crazy redemptions with this card, you're not going to get it. It does have a way to make your points a little bit more powerful and give you another kind of like pseudo boost on your points, which we'll talk about here in a second. But the fact that the only way that you can redeem for travel is through their portal does make this card a little bit less powerful, but it does have some really good perks and benefits, so let's talk about those. At the time of me recording, it does have a new welcome offer of 75,000 points after spending $5,000 in the first 90 days of having it. For earning categories, it gives you 2x back on travel and dining purchases and 1.5x back on everything else. For credits and benefits, it gives you a $400 airline incidental fee credit, a $150 annual lifestyle credit for things like streaming services, food delivery, fitness subscriptions, and ride shares, a $100 global entry or TSA pre-check credit, a Priority Pass Select membership, and a way that you can get that little bit of a boost on your points is that if you do book flights through their travel portal using points, you'll get 20% off for those bookings. Also, Bank of America has the very famous, at least in the credit card space, preferred rewards program that a lot of y'all know about, but that can basically increase your earnings on this card by 25 to 75% depending on what tier you fall into. This card also gives you Visa Infinite car rental benefits and access to the Visa Infinite luxury hotel collection, and of course, much more. In reality, I would say that if you're somebody that's already within that Bank of America ecosystem and you might be working towards that Platinum Honors tier in their preferred rewards program, then I think this card actually can be really solid. It just doesn't necessarily work super well as part of like a hybrid setup, but if you understand what your goals are in the credit card game and this card fits that, then I would say it can definitely be a great choice. To be honest, each one of the credit cards that we've talked about here has a place in somebody's wallet. And honestly, you may want to even try out multiple of these over time. I just hope that this video can give you some better direction as to maybe where to start or what cards you should have your eyes more open to. And if this video did help you out, it would really mean a ton to me if you could check the links down in my description before applying for any of these cards to help support me at no additional cost to you. And if you want to learn why I personally started with the Capital One Venture X as my first premium travel credit card, while also watching me apply live for this card, be sure to go ahead and watch this video next. And as always, Odin and I both want to say thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you did enjoy it, please consider leaving a like and subscribing to the channel, and I'll catch you guys next time.